Welcome to the Narrative Mindset Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, I would appreciate it if you went back and viewed previous episodes. When you get time. October 12th, another Thursday. The air is thin in the plant as it takes to it. A metallic grit that sits on the tongue. Not like the air out here. Out here, at the airs of the world, the air is clean. It tastes of decay and promise. Wet leaves, cold air, the sweet rot of fallen black walnuts. I can smell the coming frost on the night wind. It's a smell of ending, but it's honest. The line was down for 3 hours today. The hydraulic line burst on the press, spewing oil like black blood across the concrete floor. We stood there, a dozen of us in our stained coveralls, watching the maintenance guy scramble. No work means no pay. But for a moment, it was quiet. No deafening slam of the press, no hiss of the pneumatic arms. Just the low, anxious murmur of men who didn't know what to do with silence. In that quiet, I heard it, faint, but there. The high, lonely cry of a red-tailed hawk. It must have been miles away, over the river, but I heard it, clear as a bell. Jerry, next to me, was complaining about his mortgage. He didn't hear it. No one did. They never do. I'm a receiver, poorly tuned radio, picking up a station no one else can hear. The station of the thawing earth, the sighing oaks, the scuttling things in the undergrowth. I hear the growth. I feel it. The slow, inexorable push of a sapling toward the sun. The relentless spread of mycelium under the litter. A secret, silent network connecting everything. It is a conversation, a magnificent, sprawling dialogue that has been going on for millennia. And I am the only one in my species who seems to be listening. That is the loneliest thought in the world. October 15th. The preserve was empty today, Sunday. Everyone is inside, watching their football, shouting at screens. Their loss. I walk the trail that skirts the marsh. The cattails are bursting, ready to let their downy seeds loose on the world. Each one a potential new life, 1,000 possibilities cast to the wind. Most will land on water, on stone, on barren soil. Only a few will find purchase. Only a few will get to grow. Isn't that the way of it? Growth is desperate, solitary gamble. The tree doesn't grow for the pleasure of the forest. It grows for itself. It hogs the sunlight. Its roots strangle the competition for water. It's a quiet, brutal war. And the victors, the ancient oaks and hickories, they tower over the understory. What are they? But profoundly alone. They have outlived everything that started with them. They are monarchs of their own empty space. I laid my palm against the bark of an oak. Its ridge is deep and hard as stone. I felt the slow, cold pulse of its life, the sap retreating inward, preparing for the long sleep. I felt its sage, its nuts, vegetable patience. It asked for nothing. It needed no one. Its entire world was the sun on its leaves and the rain on its roots. A perfect self-contained existence. A profound envy washed over me, so sharp it was a physical pain in my chest. To be so complete, need no conversation, no shared joke, no hand to hold in the night. To be enough, entirely by oneself. A chickadee landed on a branch above me, scolded me for my intrusion. Chickadee-dee. Its call was a tiny stitch in the vast fabric of the afternoon. For a moment, the loneliness receded. I was part of the pattern. But then it flew away, and the stitch pulled out, and the hole it left behind was colder than before. October 22nd. Met with the financial planner today, Ron. He's a good man, my age, but he lives in a world of numbers and projections. A world of straight lines, angling ever upward. Retirement, Leo, he said, tapping a spreadsheet with a pen. It's all about growth. Aggressive growth now. Conservative growth later. We need to nurture this, help it mature. He used the words of my world, growth, nurture, mature. But they sounded alien in his air-conditioned office, sterile. It meant the growth of a number on a screen. A number that represents a life of shifts worked, overtime endured, silent lunches eaten, alone in the car. I wanted to tell him about the growth of the reindeer moss on the granite outcrops out in the preserve. How it grows, maybe a centimeter a century. A patient, inexorable claiming of space. That is a growth I understand. A growth that has meaning. Not this frantic, abstract accumulation he was talking about. But I just nodded. I said, yeah, Ron, let's do the aggressive growth. I signed the papers. I am nurturing my loneliness, investing in it, making sure it has a comfortable future. I drove straight to the nature center afterwards. I needed to smell the peat. I stood at the boardwalk and watched the water striders skimming the surface of the dark water. They exist in two worlds at once. Surface tension, a fragile membrane between the water and air. I feel like that, trapped between my worlds and theirs, not quite belonging to each other. October 30th, a dream last night. I was a seed, a maple key, spinning slowly as I fell. The forest floor rushed up to meet me, a tapestry of brown and green. I landed softly, nestled in a bed of moss. And then I waited. I felt the other seeds around me, acorns, hickory nuts, the tiny, dust-like seeds of the aster. We were a community of potential. Then the rain came, and the sun, and I began to grow. My tiny root quested downward. My shoot fought upward toward the light. It was an ecstasy, this unfurling of self. But as I grew, I could no longer feel the others. The acorn next to me had rotted. Food for a squirrel. The aster never made it. A fallen leaf smothered it. I was alone. I grew taller, my leaves broader, my trunk thicker. I shaded the ground beneath me, ensuring nothing else could grow there. My success was my isolation. I became a giant, and the forest floor beneath me was empty. I woke up with a start, a feeling of immense, wooden loneliness clinging to me. The digital clock read 4:17 a.m. The silence in my small house was absolute. It was the silence of a tree standing in a forgotten wood. November 5th. First frost this morning. A killing frost. The world has sheathed in glass. Every blade of grass, every fallen leaf, etched in crystal. It was breathtakingly beautiful. A glittering, silent funeral for the tender things. I walked out before the sun could melt it. The crunch under my boots was the only sound. The ultimate solitude. Even the birds were silent, huddled against the cold. I found the community garden plot at the edge of the preserve. Someone failed to attempt a cultivation. The tomato plants were blackened, sagging skeletons against their stakes. The zucchini leaves were limp, dark rags. They had grown so vigorously all summer, bursting with fruit and life. And now this quiet, white end. But next to the plot, the native witch hazel was in full glorious bloom. Its spidery, yellow flowers were untouched by the frost. Defiantly fragrant. It had chosen a different rhythm It grew and bloomed, not in the crowded, frantic warmth of summer, but in the empty, clarifying cold of autumn. Its growth was a different kind of gamble, not against competitors, but against the elements themselves. A deeper, more profound loneliness. I understood it completely. November 12th. A letter from the plant today. Not a pink slip. The opposite. A promotion. Foreman of the line. More money. More responsibility. A chance for growth. The cover letter said, without a hint of irony, they've offered me a desk in a small office overlooking the floor. I would be the man in the glass box, the one who nods while the floor manager explains the downtime, the one who signs the overtime slips, the one who no longer has the quiet camaraderie of the line. As superficial as it is, it doesn't quite have the easy friendship of the suits upstairs. It's the most lonely job I can imagine. A perfect sterile isolation. A human tree in a glass pot. I haven't given them an answer. November 15th. I went to the marsh today and I screamed. I didn't plan it. I just opened my mouth and a sound came out that I didn't recognize as my own. A raw, ragged, primal thing. It was a noise of the plant, of the hydraulic press, of the solid car rides home, of the financial projections, of the promotion letter, of the frost-killed tomatoes, and the solitary blooming wish hazel. It was a sound of growth, and the sound loneliness it brings. It tore out of my throat and echoed across the water, scattering a flock of ducks into the low gray sky. And then, silence. I stood there, chest heaving, embarrassed, and exhilarated. And then, an answer. From the far side of the marsh, a great blue heron I hadn't even seen unfolded itself from its hunting stance. It lifted into the air with a few powerful, slow wing beats. It didn't call out. It didn't look at me. It simply rose, a gray-blue ghost, and flew down the river, away from the sound of my pain. It wasn't the response I wanted. I wanted communion, understanding, a sign that I was heard. But that was the response I got, the only honest one. The heron was not part of my drama. It was simply itself, living its life, following its own lonely path. My scream was an anomaly in its world, a jarring note to be avoided. It was the purest, most clarifying moment of my life. November 20th. I declined the promotion. I told them I was happy where I was. Ron, the financial planner, was disappointed. It's a significant opportunity for growth, Leo, he said on the phone. I know, Ron, I said. I'm pursuing a different kind. I could almost hear his bewildering silence through the receiver. This afternoon, I went back to the preserve. The frost is melted and the ground is soft. In my pocket, I carried a handful of acorns I collected from a magnificent white oak by the river. I walked to a sunny clearing, a place where a tree had fallen last winter and left a gap in the canopy. I knelt down. With my hands, I dug into the cold, black earth. It smelled of life and death together. I made a small hole for each acorn, placed it inside, and covered it over. A prayer, a gamble. Most will not make it. They will be food for deer, for squirrels, for insects. Perhaps one will succeed. Perhaps one will send its taproot deep and its branches high. It will grow. It will become a giant. It will, in its victory, create a circle of solitude around itself. But for now, in this moment, they are together. A community of potential in the dark, cold soil. They're not lonely. They're waiting. I will come back in the spring. I will look for the first brave shoots. I will not pray for them to survive. I will simply bear witness to their attempt. This is all any of us can really do for each other. We cannot stop the loneliness that comes with growth. It's the tax we pay for sun and air. But we can notice, we can witness, we can stand at the edge of the marsh and listen to the cry of the hawk and know that someone, something is sending a signal into the vast and beautiful silence. And that has to be enough. It is, finally, everything. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Narrative Mindset Podcast.